And I think it's very relevant to our work lives because a really important part of our prospering, and I do believe we are the prospering, is our vocational power. We are called in Proverbs 11:10 to steward our prosperity, and a huge component of our prosperity is our vocational power. Unlike many people around the world, we have tremendous vocational choice. We're not necessarily working in the same job that our grandfather had and his grandfather had and his grandfather had and his. We have a lot of vocational choice. Many of us have had the blessing of great education and vocational training. Many in this room, you have networks, you have skills, you have knowledge, you have positions. Some of you are CEOs in your company. An important dimension of the prosperity we have is our vocational power. And I believe that we are called to rejoice our cities through the stewardship of that vocational power. I define vocational stewardship as the strategic and intentional deployment of all of the dimensions of our vocational power for the advancement of foretastes of the kingdom of God. And that vision, I think, of faith-work integration is more theologically rich and robust than often what we have heard. Unfortunately, in the church, a lot of times sort of faith and work isn't even talked about that much from the pulpit. Then we have a lot of really good marketplace ministries, and I don't want to say anything bad about marketplace ministry, but typically marketplace ministries have really focused on what I would call the 3 E's: ethics, evangelism, and excellence. And all 3 of those are important expressions of faith-work integration. We should work with excellence. We should be people of high integrity on the job. We should be winsomely talking to our coworkers about Christ. But I think this vision of vocational stewardship goes a bit deeper. So as I mentioned, vocational stewardship is the strategic and intentional deployment of all the dimensions of our vocational power to advance foretastes of the kingdom of God. So we need to know, well, what are these foretastes of the kingdom of God? And I was helped in this. A preacher once was talking about how the Old Testament, many different passages in the Old Testament, could be understood as what he called preview passages. You know, you get the little red envelope from Netflix and you stick it in the DVD player. And the first things you see are the trailers, the previews of the coming attractions. They give you a little glimpse of the movies that are coming out on the big screen. And he explained that, you know, passages like Psalm 72 or Zechariah 8 or Isaiah 65 or Revelation 21, these are like preview passages. They give us a glimpse of what life is going to be like in the fully consummated kingdom of God, in the new Jerusalem, in the new heavens and the new earth that's going to come in all of its consummated fullness at the return of Jesus Christ. And when we study these preview passages, we begin to see what the marks of that coming kingdom are, and they're things like those that are listed on the screen. The kingdom is going to be marked by beauty and joy and intimacy with God and peace and flourishing and wholeness. So what we're doing in our work is we are participating with Jesus' work of advancing these kinds of things. Now, I talk about in the book sort of 4 roads or 4 avenues of this sort of deployment, 4 pathways of vocational stewardship. And I'm just going to go quickly through them and then really kind of hone in on pathway 1. Pathway 1 is what I call bloom where you're planted, and it's the most important pathway. And this is basically about stewarding your power at your current job, within your current office, within your current industry sector, being salt and light right where you are to advance those kingdom foretastes. Pathway 2 is when you take your vocational knowledge and expertise and network and you volunteer all of that. You give that away to nonprofit groups or public agencies or Christian ministries. Pathway 3 is when you take your vocational expertise and knowledge and you create something new. You start a new social enterprise. You create an alternative. You create a new thing to advance the kingdom. And then pathway 4 is when you participate in some kind of a targeted initiative that your church might be doing or an organization might be doing The example would be something like a church that says, you know, we really want to see the kingdom of God come in greater fullness in one particular neighborhood in our city. And we want to work there with the residents of that neighborhood for 10, 20, 30, 40 years to see greater examples of the kingdom flourishing in that place. And so we want our business people to bring their business expertise into that place. We want our medical people to bring their medical expertise into that place. We want our educators to think well about how to improve the educational situation in that particular place. So that's what I mean by pathway 4.